Welcome to What's on My Bookshelf with Jill. That's me, I'm Jill, your host and proprietor of the things on my bookshelf. This will be a weekly, well, really the time frame is TBD, video series where I will bring you what's on my bookshelf. It could be books, it could not be books. Stay tuned to find out. Next off my bookshelf, we have Mindy Kaling's Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me and Other Concerns. Currently, nobody's hanging out. Well, people are hanging out. But I understand the sentiment of questioning if everybody is hanging out without you. Been there. Also have other concerns. I guess that would be the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Now there's the JOMO, the joy of missing out. I don't know what she was getting at with this. I did like JOMO, FOMO. I'm not sure like where Mindy's like stance was, what her framework was on that. I'm just educating you on acronyms. Maybe you knew about them, maybe you didn't. Okay, so I have read this book. It was a few years ago, and actually, this book belongs to a friend. And I think I asked her if she wanted it back a while ago, and she said not to worry about it. But I will follow up just to make sure, because I don't want to be like the book borrower who hangs on to the books. Like, I am not a fan of that situation where somebody borrows something and doesn't give it back. But here we are. So as per the standard practice, we will be opening up to a random selection. Okay, I don't know why I had to close my eyes to do that, but here we are. Okay. I am terrible at everything. Everything I learned about trying to get hired as a comedy writer came from the Everything I learned about trying to get hired as a comedy writer came from the film and television section of the Lincoln Center Barnes & Noble. I think I've been to that Barnes & Noble. I didn't have the money to buy many of the books there, so I spent hours sitting in the aisle, copying down sections in a loose leaf notebook. Who's done that? Who's been there? I was not the worst offender. There were aspiring screenwriters sprawled all over the place there. They'd nurse a single coffee for hours. Also have done that. Home and in a place of business. One kid I saw there all the time frequently brought a large pizza with him and ate the entire thing slowly while handwriting inquiry letters to literary agents. This has an asterisk. It is interesting to note that this Barnes & Noble no longer exists. Perhaps no one was buying books there. The only real valuable thing I learned from the Lincoln Center Barnes & Noble was that the only way I could get hired by a TV show was to write a spec or a sample script of a popular current show. That's when I started working on my first spec, a Will and Grace sample, having seen the show only a handful of times. I love Will and Grace. More of a fan of the original series. Not that the second coming of Will and Grace is not the original. It's a continuation. But I think I like the first set of seasons more than the latter. But I digress. Barnes and Noble, or Barnes and Nobles if I'm pluralizing them. Not sure how many, if they're hitting the road of the Blockbuster route where there's going to be one. I did go to one not too long ago, and it was nice to be in a bookstore, and B, I did buy a book. I usually would go for the buy 3 for 2 sale, but they weren't really, or like I just wasn't interested in the books that they had for that deal, and so I just bought one book. But anyway, so this book just is Mindy's, and she has a few books, at least one other one I know of. Don't know the name. I'll put it in the bylines, or the lower third, as it is technically called. This is a New York Times bestseller. I think Mindy Kaling is super hilarious. The book was good. It chronicles her college time. One chapter is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me, or How I Made My First Real Friend. So she's a gem, and I enjoyed this book. And if you have it, let me know. We can talk about it. And if you don't have it, if I get to keep it from my friend, then you can borrow it next. Thanks for joining me on this episode of What's on My Bookshelf with Jill. Read you next time. Get it? Read you, like see you next time, but read, because we're talking about books. Okay, bye.